members and officers, and welcome to this meeting of Cabinet on Monday the 15th of December 2025. Can I start by just reminding everyone present that this meeting will be broadcast live via YouTube and the recording will be archived for future viewing. Could all councillors and officers ensure that when they speak, they switch their microphones on, and when they've finished speaking, they switch them off. This is extremely important for the live stream to ensure that the camera is focused on the individual who is speaking. Thank you. I'll now move to the agenda. Proper. Item 1, to receive any apologies for absence. Emily.
Thank you, Chair. We've received apologies from Councillor Chowdhury and Councillor Slater.
Thank you, Emily. Item 2, are there any declarations of interest? None showing. Thank you. Item 3, to approve as a correct record the public minutes of the meeting held on the 17th of November 2025. I'll move them as a true record. Could I have a seconder, please? Councillor Fletcher. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you, colleagues. I'm not aware of any item of urgent business. Item 5, the forward plan. Chief Executive.
Thank you, Leader. This is the forward plan from the 1st of January 2026 through to the 30th of April 2026. Happy to take any questions on the forward plan.
Thank you, Chief Executive. Any questions on the forward plan? That's just to note and receive. Thank you. Item 6, selective licensing scheme evaluation. Rachel, please.
Thank you. Selective licensing was first introduced in East Staffordshire in September 2017 as a means to proactively improve the condition and management of privately rented accommodation. It was initially introduced in the eastern area of Anglesey, covering 360 properties, and in 2022 was designated to cover 9 streets that were identified to have high levels of private rented accommodation and high levels of housing complaints. This report aims to provide an update to members on the operation and implementation of the scheme, along with recommendations for future expansion. The selective licensing policy has also been reviewed and revised to include updated model selective licensing conditions. This is available in Appendix 2. The first 3 years of the current scheme have demonstrated ongoing compliance with the licensing requirements, with the majority of properties being granted a licence. However, a number of landlords continue to evade the scheme's requirements, for which enforcement action has been taken. The majority of inspections have also identified works that were required to improve the condition of the property. In considering future selective licensing designations, it is clear that housing complaints remain high and there is a reluctance for property conditions to be improved proactively. The recent housing stock model has provided invaluable insight into the concentration and location of where housing conditions need to be improved. This has been used to identify 16 streets whereby selective licensing can be designated, and these are contained in Table 2 in paragraph 6.15. Should approval be granted, then a full 10-week consultation will be undertaken. The licence fee will also be reviewed and considered to ensure full cost recovery. The recommendations are to note the ongoing designation of the selective licensing scheme for the remaining 3 years, to approve a consultation to be undertaken to consider designating the streets detailed in Table 2, and to approve the revised selective licensing policy in Appendix 2.
Thank you, Rachel. Thank you for reading out those recommendations at 14. Any questions or comments from Cabinet members? No, I'm happy to move those recommendations at 14. Could I have a seconder, please? Councillor McKiernan. All those in favour? Again, that's unanimous. Thank you, Rachel. We'll now move on to item 7, which is the Q2 Revenue and Capital Outturn Report 25-26. I believe, Daniel, you're going to present this for us, please.
Thank you, Chair. The report presents the financial position as at Q2 for 2025-26 and provides the projected end-of-year outturn for both revenue and capital and an update on treasury management and strategic risks. Projected revenue budget variance for 2025-26 as at the end of Q2 is an underspend of 280k against budget. The main reason leading to this underspend is the over-recovery against the income budgeted for the garden waste service. There are also a number of areas forecasting pressures, however these are mitigated by underspends across other council services. The capital programme for 2025-26 now sits at £13.571 million with a forecast outturn of £13.512 million. At Q2, a further 216k of budget requires reprofiling into 2026-27 financial year, leaving a small residual overspend of 32k. The update on treasury management activity shows investments as at the 30th of September 2025 stood at £50.463 million. Investment returns from the start of the financial year have averaged 4.4%, with a forecast 90k overachievement against budgeted income forecast for year end. Finally, the strategic risk register is included at Appendix E of the report, with the report confirming that there are no changes to the current or target risk scores to bring to Cabinet's attention. The recommendations of Cabinet are set out at section 15 of the report.
Thank you, Daniel. Any questions or comments from Cabinet members? No? As Daniel said, the recommendations are set out at 15. I'm happy to move those. Could I have a seconder, please? Councillor Fletcher. All those in favour? Again, that's unanimous. Thank you, Daniel. That's the last item in the public part of our meeting. Item 8, Q2 performance report. Please, Tom.
Thank you, Leader. Good evening, everybody. This is the Q2 performance report, looking at the Council's progress towards achieving its core priorities between July and September of this year, along with the latest updates on the leisure contract, the Towns Fund programme and the insourcing grounds maintenance contract. There are 3 recommendations to consider, which you can see at section 16 of the covering report. I'll begin with the corporate plan. The targets have been graded using the red, amber, green rating system, depending on the progress of each individual indicator. Looking purely at the 98 live targets, this equates to the council being at 89.80% green, 7.14% amber, and only 3.06% red. So based on these numbers, the council has continued its excellent start to the year with our corporate performance. The tables you can see on pages 8 and 9 of the covering report show further analysis, including how those percentages break down across the corporate priorities and individual cabinet portfolios. Those small number of red and amber targets are all detailed in table 3, which includes some comments to provide context about the situation of those individual indicators. Table 4 on page 14 highlights a target proposed for deletion, and Appendix 1 includes comprehensive data on all of the indicators in the corporate plan and showcases the Council's strong performance last quarter. As usual, the report also goes on to provide information on the leisure operated contract performance in section 6 of the recovering report, which also looks very positive with 0 amber and red targets. Section 7 of the report summarises the progress of the Towns Fund programme, which continues to advance positively, with 2 projects completed and 2 currently in delivery. And finally, section 8 of the report outlines the progress to in-source grounds maintenance service, which was on track for delivery by the 31st of October 2026, but due to restrictions on financial decisions ahead of local government reorganisation, Cabinet has decided to halt the in-sourcing process. Discussions to extend the existing contract with Ida Verde are underway. And that's the quick summary of the Council's Q2 performance, and as you can see from the information provided, we're performing very well across all the points covered in this report. And I'll pause there for any questions.
Thank you, Tom. Any questions or comments for Tom? No? The recommendations are at 16. I'm happy to move them. Could I have a seconder, please? Councillor Fletcher. All those in favour? Again, that's unanimous. Thank you, Tom. That concludes the public part of our meeting, so I will therefore move that in accordance with Section 100A(4) of the Local Government Act 1972, the press and public be excluded from the remainder of the meeting, as it is likely, in view of the nature of the business to be transacted or the nature of the proceedings, that there would be disclosed exempt information as defined in the paragraph of Part 1 of Schedule 12A of the Act. I've moved that. Could I have a seconder, please? Councillor Fletcher. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you. We'll move into Part B.